Welcome back everyone. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. And alright, what did we learn, or what should the Lakers have learned from Game 1? Getting beat 108-90, but actually being fairly competitive throughout the entire game until the very end of the fourth quarter. So, what went well, what didn't go well, and what do they need to adjust if they're going to hope to win Game 2? Well, there's definitely a lot to point to, but I think there's actually some good here too. And to not be negative the entire time, not to be doom and gloom throughout the entire video, we're going to begin with the good. And what I liked from Game 1 was actually a lot to start out with. I thought the game plan worked, I thought the offense looked pretty good. You know, their first 5 shots they took all came with 12 or more seconds on the shot clock. In fact, some came with 15 or more on the shot clock. The very first play, you had LeBron directly get to the rim, off a really quick action from a horn set, simply a double screen from Rui and Ayton, then letting LeBron get right to the rim around Lu Dort. Follow that up by a 3-point shot, some quick offense, Austin Reaves getting fouled and getting to the free throw line. I thought that worked. You know, something I talked about before this matchup was that the Thunder don't really like to defend or play with pace. They're not a slow team, but they're not a very quick up-tempo team. And if you play that way against them, most importantly, without being sloppy, like they did during the first half, but not really during the second half, we'll get to that in a minute, you can generate open shots. They'll give you open shots at the 3-point line, they're gonna bite on passes and jump the passing lanes, but if you're careful, if you have an up-tempo styled offense that again does not lead to a turnover, you will generate an open shot against them. And for LeBron, I would point to the fact that this is not the Rockets with a bunch of big wing defenders, not with a bunch of height and length around the rim. Yes, obviously OKC has height and length, but not quite as much compared to Houston, and especially not on the wing. I mean, for Lu Dort, that's a much smaller defender compared to a guy like Tari Eason, somebody like that, or a Men Thompson on the Rockets. That's something that LeBron can and did take advantage of. Obviously having a very good game, ending up with, 27 points on 12 of 17 from the field, 71%. And during the first quarter, 12 points on 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. He had no problem against Lu Dort. No problem against him, no problem when Caruso came off the bench, no problem when they switched and AJ Mitchell ended up on him. In fact, that was something that actually worked in their favor and in LeBron's favor too. So pointing to a good thing, that's something I'd like. And not only that, but I thought DeAndre Ayton was very good and effective early on too. You know, before the foul trouble, which we're going to get to in a minute here, Ayton was very effective. During the first quarter, Ayton had 4 points, 5 rebounds, 1 offensive rebound, and was a perfect 2 of 2 from the field. So if he can maintain that and obviously not get in foul trouble, that will bode well for their team. He definitely has an advantage in my opinion. He's bigger, he's stronger than either one of Chet Holmgren or Isaiah Hartenstein. He has no trouble being physical with them, no trouble in the pick and roll game against them, or not a whole lot of it anyway, and I think that is a direct advantage for the Lakers team. But even apart from Ayton and or LeBron, another thing I liked in Game 1 was simply Rui Hachimura. You know, I thought he played perfectly, played his role to perfection, ending up with 18 points on 7 of 13 from the field, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. Again, with the offense they ran, the game plan, I thought it worked well for them. They generated open shots, and although many guys did not make them, you know, everyone between Austin, Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard, even being a bit hesitant, Rui Hachimura did take them, and he did make them. So that went well for their team. Between LeBron, Ayton, and Rui Hachimura, especially during the first half, and the game plan in general, I thought it worked pretty well. Not only offensively, but defensively too. And no, I don't expect it to happen every game, but the fact they held Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to only 18 points on 8 of 15 from the field, which I guess isn't bad for him, but most importantly, 7 turnovers to only 6 assists, definitely is very good. The combination of defense they threw at him, they kind of began in a box and one, something I talked about and highlighted that they likely would do at least a little bit of, which is simply a zone defense with one guy being the attacker, or rather the chaser on defense, that being Marcus Smart against SGA. I thought that worked pretty well. They blitzed him a couple times, they threw a few zones at him, but for the most part, Marcus Smart was very good one-on-one, the switching worked pretty well, everything they did against him worked pretty well. Not again saying that it's going to be like this every game, they're not going to hold him under 20 points and having 5+ turnovers, but this did work pretty well. The unfortunate part was that they really didn't take advantage of it. Again, with the offense and only putting up 90 points, that's not going to be enough to beat OKC, even when they do this against SGA. So, what was the problem here for them? Well, there are definitely a few things to point to, but we'll start at the bottom, then work our way up to the top. And for a more minor complaint and something a bit smaller to point to, I would point out their shot selection. Either attempting bad shots or passing up good shots. Beginning with Marcus Smart, I thought he had a few bad shots that were taken a bit out of rhythm and kind of in a weird spot within the shot clock and within their offense, something that's been a problem for him, and I think it did show up a little bit again in Game 1. I would like him to adjust that and, kind of view the court a bit better in Game 2. Part of that, is not really his fault. When LeBron and Austin Reaves are on the bench at the same time, that's a very questionable choice by Redick that led to Smart shooting some of these shots, but that's one thing to point to. But before we get too far into that, let me quickly tell you about PrizePicks, the #1 sports picking app in America. It's simple. You pick more or less than your favorite players and then set your lineup. And for example, here's what I got going on for Game 2. For my first pick, I got Rui Hachimura having more than 7.5 points, which really does seem like a gimme. Then for my second pick, I got Marcus Smart having more than 4.5 rebounds and assists, which he has done in 3 straight. Then for my third pick, I got DeAndre Ayton having more than 7.5 rebounds and assists, which he has been doubling up as of late. Then for my fourth and final pick, I got Danich Jenkins having more than 4.5 points. So if you want to follow along with me, or make your own picks, then be sure to download the app, use code HMA, and get $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. But now getting back to our topic. Then for guys like Luka Dončić and Austin Reaves, even Jake LaRavia, either attempting bad shots or passing up shots, mainly passing up for both Luka Dončić and Jake LaRavia, I could probably point to 5 to maybe 7 shots that they didn't take that they probably should have. And for Luka Dončić, he definitely is being defended different after his outburst in round 1. They're chasing him harder, they're being a bit more physical with him, actually putting a pretty good defender on him at all times now too. Obviously the fact that Luka's not out there hurts him too. But for Luka Dončić, he's got to be more aggressive and he's got to be confident. He doesn't really look as confident as he was in round 1. He's passing up a few shots here and there. Even with some aggressive defense against him, he's shown that he can still generate open looks and get to his spots in the court, even against good aggressive defense. Like back when Amen Thompson guarded him, back when Josh Okogie were guarding him. He can still get there, he's just got to be more confident. And well, when neither Luka Dončić or Austin Reaves are being very productive, that's obviously a big problem. Even with LeBron playing well, even with Rui and Ayton playing pretty well too, it's not enough without Luka Dončić. They gotta have Austin Reaves and or at least Luka Dončić, one of them play well. And simply put, neither one of them did. Luka Dončić finishing with 7 points on 1 of 4 from the field. Austin finishing with 8 points on 3 of 16 from the field, obviously not good. That's a big problem. And for Austin, yes, I definitely would point out that he doesn't look like himself. He's still trying to play through injury and he doesn't have the same burst, isn't quite as explosive. Yes, that is something to factor in, but simply put, they need him to be better. If they're going to win, not only the series, but even win a game, prolong it, and maybe optimistically hope for Luka Dončić to make it back somehow, they got to get more from Austin Reaves. For the most part, I thought he did fine within the pick and roll game. I actually thought he had some pretty nice passes to both Ayton and Hayes within the pick and roll game, but whenever he had to isolate, whenever he had offense drawn up for him that forced him to create, try to attack off the dribble, try to attack guys like Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, Caruso, whoever might be defending him, that's when he struggled. Again, that's when the lack of explosion, the lack of burst really showed up for him. And against a team like OKC, their defense and their perimeter defenders, that's something that you can't have. And for Austin, it was very apparent. So, how do they get him going and how do they kind of get around that? Well, again, for one, I'd go back to the early offense point. I wouldn't have Austin bring the ball up the court. That's when Cason Wallace and Caruso can bother him and will bother him. But maybe I'd do a quick guard-to-guard handoff, have Marcus Smart bring it up the court. SGA is not going to bother him. He's not going to apply that much pressure. Do a quick guard-to-guard handoff into an immediate, quick high pick-and-roll play. That's something I would try out. Maybe a quick pin down for Austin, off a guard-to-guard handoff. Some more quick, not quite complex, but offense to help get him open and to help get the initial defender off of him is something I'd try more of. I'd go away from the isolations, I'd go away from the self-creation. He simply doesn't have it at this point. Doesn't have the burst, doesn't have the explosion, and obviously is not in a great rhythm. In my opinion, that would be the better route for them to take with Austin Reaves in Game 2 compared to what they tried in Game 1. Again, I'd go away from the self-creation, I'd go away from the isolation with him. Simply not the same Austin that we're talking about in this series and with his current physical ability, I guess, compared to the regular season. And even then against OKC, it would still be tough. I'd go away from that and I'd try out some more early offense with him initially off the ball, but quickly getting it to him and then running a quick action after that. Not kind of isolating and standing around, letting the defense get set. That's probably not going to work. Now we could harp on this all day and, throw more hate in Austin, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hope he can get better and hope they try different stuff with him, and I think it can't be much worse. So moving on from that, what else can they do better and what else do they have to do better if they're going to take Game 2, let alone a game in general? Well, it also points to the fact that they didn't shoot that great, even apart from Austin, questionable shot selection, which I pointed out, but if they're going to have a really competitive series and even win a game, they got to have better shot selection and they have to simply make the shots they generated. Like I said, I thought the game plan was pretty good. I simply thought the selection wasn't great and they passed up a few open shots. They can't do that, not against this defense. On top of that, they got a bit sloppy during the second half. During the first half and during the first quarter, only 4 turnovers, but during the second half, that's when it became a lot more sloppy, having 10 turnovers at that point, and not to mention a majority of which came from their bench unit. 2 from Luka Dončić, 2 from Jackson Hayes, and 1 from Jake the Arabia, and that simply can't happen. Between that and poor shot selection and not making open shots, that's a recipe for disaster, especially when they're trying to defend and keep up with OKC. At that point, they're simply going to get tired, like we saw in Game 1. So, if they can find a way to clean that up, get better production and not to mention more efficient production from Austin Reaves and or Luka Dončić, ideally both of them, maintain the defense or kind of get somewhere close to it again, and simply have the good production they got from LeBron, Rui, and Ayton during the first half, not getting in foul trouble, maintaining and being able to stay in the game, I think that would lead to a much better and much more competitive Game 2, coming all the way down to the end of the fourth quarter. Not simply until the third quarter and when they get tired, when their game plan falls apart and they can't keep up, but all the way to the very end. In my opinion, that would lead to them having a better chance than they did in Game 1. Now you might be a bit shocked at my lack of negativity here, but for the most part I actually thought they did fairly well for roughly 40 minutes out of this game. Again, the end they got tired and everything fell apart, but before that, I thought the defense held up, they had a good game plan, both offensively and defensively. I mean, holding SGA to only 18 points with 7 turnovers, probably not going to quite replicate that, but that's the telling of how well it worked. And with LeBron playing well, taking advantage of OKC's defense and finding ways to attack them, the offensive rebounding coming in, overall decent production from one supporting cast member with Rui Hachimura, just lacking the production from Austin Reaves, Luka Dončić, Marcus Smart at times, more so offensively, not defensively, and the bench unit. I would say that there's plenty of room for improvement and plenty of ways that they can get better, even if they're not quite as good on defense against OKC in Game 2. And if they manage to do that, I think they have a chance. But those are only my thoughts, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. What adjustment or what adjustments do you think they have to make if they're going to fare better in Game 2? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I would greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.